καλώς ήρθατε και πάλι.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is the second session of our event. We will be talking about the prospects of the world cotton market and the cotton market in the Americas, US, Brazil, Mexico, and the coalition with the Mediterranean basin countries. We have with us Mr. Basil Corbas, senior cotton trader at the Louis Dreyfus Company, Suisse SA, and Mr. Ryota Karoupe from Violar SA, representative of the cotton sector in the US. Mr. Psaropoulos will be the moderator. He's an agent at the Nicot company. Please, gentlemen, take your seat at the panel.
Ντορίνα, πού είναι το... Εγώ είμαι Ψαρόπουλος.
Εσείς μιλήσατε.
Εγώ είμαι συντονιστής μόνο. Θα μιλήσει τώρα ο Κορμπάζ. Εγώ όμως θέλω κάτι άλλο τώρα.
Είναι εδώ στο εικόν.
Όχι, εδώ είναι αυτά.
Όχι, το ερωτήσεις.
Βάλτε αυτό από πίσω. Safe μόνο τι έλεγε τώρα. Ωραία.
Και μετά εδώ είναι ερωτήσεις.
Τώρα βάλουμε το
Αφήστε
Chrome.
με ερωτήσεις τώρα. Ποιος θα μιλήσει, πείτε μου, δεν μπορώ έτσι εγώ.
Πού είναι αυτό?
Εδώ είναι.
Οι ερωτήσεις θα κάνετε τώρα.
Όχι.
Όχι.
Αφήστε να μιλήσει άνθρωπος και μετά θα κάνετε ερωτήσεις.
Τώρα μιλάω εγώ. 2 λεπτά. Good evening, everybody. Thank you very much for coming to the 8th Mediterranean Cotton Roads. I think we're going to move out from the presentation. We need to move out of our small world and see the global picture. And for tonight, we have two well-known traders. Some of you guys have been having some discussions with them, you've traded with them, you've had some drinks with them, you've debated with them, you've fought with them for over quality or price or had a good negotiation. I would like to show, can we show the poll? Μπορούμε να δούμε το poll. Την οθόνη που έχω τώρα μπορούμε να δούμε. On the previous poll where we asked you to vote, apparently everybody is willing to pay over 100 euros for this t-shirt. So everybody's looking for this market to move up higher in the benefit of the producers, spinners, and maybe for the cotton. Let's see about it. Our first presenter is Vasilis Korbaz. Thank you. Okay. He's an experienced trader. He's the cotton trading manager for the European, Middle East, and Africa in the global trading desk of Louis Dreyfus. Louis Dreyfus is one of the biggest commodity traders in the world and the biggest cotton trader in the world. Basil, please, can you take... I don't know what this is.
Yeah, you put okay.
Yeah. And here you...
Presentation, back.
Δεν έχουμε στην οθόνη. Ευχαριστώ πολύ.
Maybe you want to put, we don't care about my face, you want to put the whole slideshow, if it's possible. Look.
All the slide. Να μην φαίνεται, δεν χρειάζεται να βλέπουν τον Μπαζίλ, δεν χρειάζεται.
Otherwise we do like that, but it's a bit small.
Yeah, I know.
I think. Okay, good evening everyone. Dear cotton community, it's a pleasure for me to be here. Thanks for the organization committee. Really well organized event. Well, I had a dream last night. It was a beautiful dream. Cotton consumption was booming. Polyester was unwilling to sell. Everything was shining. And then I woke up this morning and realized that I had to give a presentation to you that was not really as positive as that. But still, there is hope, right? So let's look at a few numbers together. Well, that's the situation I'm referring to when I woke up this morning, right? Super bearish market of the last 2 years. The mood is bad. You talk to people here, it's difficult. ICE market has been losing 35% in about 2 years, with a steep decline at the beginning and then a range-bound market that has been extremely boring, especially for traders like me or Ryota. Market is always right, is what we say. And we can look now a little bit at the last USDA world consumption and production number. Let's start with the production. It's a healthy production this year again, 120 million bales. It hasn't been the case for many times of the last 7 years. And then in terms of consumption, everybody says, well, consumption is a bit disappointing, but look at that number here, 119 million bales. It's not too bad, but it's not post-COVID time, of course, but we're getting back to the game a little bit. But still, we have a consumption, production surplus of 1 million bale, and it doesn't stop here. The issue you're having is that the world ending stock is building year after year. Over the last 5 years, as per USDA, we've been increasing the world ending stock by almost 5 million bales. That's massive. The spec and managed money community has been way faster to sell that market than the growers, hoping for better prices. You can see that, sorry for the slide, it's a little bit too small. You can see that on the first chart. The red line is the net managed money position on the ICE futures market. Back to 2 years ago, we were at 95 to 100,000 net long. Since then, the spec community has been selling, selling, and selling to go to about 70 to 80,000 net short, one of the shortest position they've ever had. Meanwhile, the farming producer community on the second slide, that's the green light you can see here, has been accumulating the on-call purchase, meaning that they were hoping for better prices and selling their cotton on call. Since a couple of weeks, though, this position has been reducing drastically. That's the expiration of the DEC contract, and some farmers not willing to roll their on-call purchase with a penalty, of course, on the roll. So we've been seeing this decline, and some of the growing community have been surrounding here. Well, that's the situation today, but we're going to have to change something at a certain point in this market. So where will it come from? Will it be from the consumption side? Will it be from... Oh, it's not coming anymore. Sorry for that. The presentation is blocked. No, it's coming here, but not there. Yeah, sure. But yeah. It seems that this is not showing that anymore. You know what I mean? Sorry for that.
It looks like AI has not reached our level yet here.
It's working on the computer. Maybe you all come here on the stage. Yeah. No, well, we hope for. Sorry. Sure, no stress, It's fine. It's Zoom. All right, so I was saying that a change will come, but from where? Consumption, crop failure maybe, or most likely, or the biggest effect we can have is Xi and Trump shaking hands at certain point, with President Xi deciding to buy some substantial amount of US cotton, something many people hope for today. So at certain point, the little bear in the room will be running away. The question is when and for what reason. Let's look ahead a little bit together at 25, 26 numbers and try to have a little bit of thoughts on the future of cotton markets. That's the USDA balance sheet. We spoke about the production, we spoke about the consumption and its surplus. I think the most striking part of this balance sheet is the imports and also the exports. So you can see that the exports worldwide are increasing by 1.6 million bales, while the consumption is flat year on year. So that's obviously a big question mark. Is it magic, or will we see part of those exports finally ending in the ending stock? If it's the case, this is rather a bearish scenario, of course. Speaking about consumption, I think we've touched upon this question on a different presentation today, so I'm going to be fast. You've seen this chart already today, and you've seen it many times. The market share of cotton on the world fiber is decreasing year after year. Now about 22%, back in 2000, 40%, so it's a huge decrease. Let's look at the consumption as per USDA of the last 3 years. USDA has been rather optimistic at the beginning of the season, or their prediction, especially in 22, 23, and 23, 24, with a sharp decline, together with the price going down. Last year, though, and this is certainly a little bit of a hope for us, we've seen the initial forecast of USDA being at the end higher, because we ended up at 119 million bales. So I would say that the estimate of this year is fair. And again, it's not that bad compared to previous years. I think the difficulty today is to have an overall view, because if you talk to our Turkish friends, the situation is extremely bad. If you talk to Chinese and Indian, they are actually even telling you, which is rare to a mills when they're talking to traders, that the situation is doing well, actually. So different factor. One of the main elements that will be impacting the demand, in my opinion, over the next 6 months is the cost of money. You see on this slide, the blue light line is the inventory of the retailers in the US on their sale ratio. Yeah, this is better, thanks. And then the darker blue line is the Fed rate, the rate at which the money is borrowed in the US. So you can see that since COVID, there is a clear relationship, and we do believe that the pipeline of cotton, the whole cotton industry, starting from the maybe not the ginners, but as well to the spinners and downstream, is rather low in terms of inventories. So as soon as the cost of money will go down, people will be restocking, and this can be a strong effect, very strong effect, quickly on the demand. So that's exactly what you're going to have to look at over the next couple of months. You know that Jay Powell is retiring in May 2026, and I think that's the name of the next Fed president will be something very important to follow for the cotton market as well. Let's a last word on consumption before we go to production. Is just the shift that we're seeing away from China. So Chinese remains a huge market in terms of consumption. But look, over the last couple of years, how India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Turkey as well, and Vietnam have been taking a huge amount of demand. I think this is important when it comes to trading different origin. We see, for instance, that the West African cotton prices are holding pretty well today on the export market, simply because the demand from India, Pakistan, and Bangladesh is higher than before. And historically, they like that cotton, and they have costings advantage against other. And this is a little bit of a parallel we can do with the Greek cotton as well, that has its own niche. It has been mentioned upon as well before. And I think that's exactly what any origin should look at, the competitive advantage they have in certain destination markets. Let's speak a little bit about the production now. I think the main interest of this slide is the green light. That's the total planted area and its history back to 2010. Look at the last 2-3 years, how sharp was the decline. So actually, I think we're lucky to have 120 million bales of production this year. It's actually a big production, one of the highest of the couple of years. And there is no magic here. If the area is going down, but the production is holding, it's just because you have yields that are increasing. And we have 3 champions here. We have China, that is investing a lot in innovation, irrigation as well. We do have Brazil, kind of the monster or the elephant in the room, with a little bit of help of Mother Nature, but more and more irrigation as well, especially in the Bahia region. And finally, you do have Australia, that has been helped by Mother Nature over the last couple of years. So, not going to spoil your Brazilian presentation, Riota, but just this slide on Brazil, because I think it has to be mentioned. Yeah, it's a monster. Over the last 20 years, we've seen the area increasing by 146%. and the production grown by almost 300% in 20 years. Australia is doing well. We do have a nice weather pattern over the last 2-3 years called La Nina and neutral. When El Nino is dominating, then the rain are lacking, but it's not the case, and it's not going to be the case for the next couple of months. And finally, US production estimate at 14 million bales, thanks to Mother Nature again, because West Texas got the rains when needed. The area, the planted area in the Memphis-Eastern region has been decreasing sharply, reacting to price as well. If you take those three origins, you shake them together, you end up having a total production of 37, the highest ever of the contamination-free almost, or one of the highest of the couple of years. And then it doesn't stop here. When you look at the AUB plus West African export surplus, which is the carry-in plus their production, you go to a healthy 50.5 million bales of export surplus. So again, remember, USDA is at 44 million bales of imports for this season, which means that at the end you're going to face 6.5 million bales of surplus. No need to say that today the export arena is super crowded, right? So this has implication, and the evident implication is on prices. As per A index from the Outlook, you can see that Brazil has been disconnecting strongly to other origin values. Everybody speaks about it, right? It's an obvious fact. Therefore, gaining a lot of market share. Look at that, 33%. 1 bale every 3 bales on the export market is now Brazilian. That's huge. Will it continue or not? It will just depend on prices. So what are the implications on ICE, on the futures market of this Brazilian giant or monster? Well, one of the main implications is on spreads, and especially the July deck spread, old crop, new crop. Everybody look at that spread. Today it's trading in carry, 150 under, something like that, which is very, very, very loose compared to previous years. What's the reason for that? Again, Brazil. Because Brazil now is providing 12 months a year, cotton availability, supply at cheap price. Nobody buys the US anymore. The market can go down and the spread doesn't have to be defensive, even though you might have purchase from the Chinese government of US cotton. So the question is, flat price, will flat price be saved by government program like the MSP in India, minimum support price, or the US loan? Well, the MSP today, if you go to India, if you're a farmer and you sell your cotton, you will be able to sell it at 90 cents per pound. It's huge. So when they are buying right now, they're expected to buy about 1 million to 1.5 million baby bales just in November. Anyone's best guess how much they will purchase, but something like 10 to 12 million baby bales. And then on the other side, of just below that, you have the US loan program. I know you'll teach us a lot about it later, Ryota. But around 65, this loan program is coming into play. But make no mistakes, this is not going to help the flat price on the long term, because those programs are temporary. Unlike the Chinese reserve a couple of years ago, when they were buying the cotton and keeping it for a couple of years, those programs are designed to keep the cotton just for a couple of months. In India, they buy it from Feb to March and then resell it directly, or maybe wait a couple of months depending on the market structure. In the US, once the cotton is put into the loan, it's going to last 9 months maximum, and then people will have to make a decision on it. Long-term initiatives, we spoke about it, EU cotton, make the label count. I think they are fantastic initiatives, and I think we need to go for that to defend our product against other products like man-made fiber. But for the balance sheet of 25-26, it's not going to have any effect, or very marginal, in my opinion. And then we have the trade deal between China and the US. A couple of facts, reminder of the timeline here. We are in a good situation right now, relaxation period since, I would say, October. We've seen Xi and Trump meeting each other, deciding to lower some tariff, but not buying any Brazilian cotton, US cotton, sorry. Buying some beans, US beans, some other product, but cotton is not part of the game for now. And we have to keep in mind that US cotton has still a 10% import tax disadvantage against any other origin in the world, such as Brazil, Australia, or the Greeks. So what's the implication of that? The selling pace of US is a disaster today. Look at that chart here. Today, US, and we're lacking data simply because we did had the shutdown in the government, so we're gonna catch up with data by the end of December. But you know, at the same time last year or previous year, the total percentage of US cotton sold against the objective or the forecast of USDA was much higher than this red line we can see on this chart. Today we have only 4.5 million bales of US cotton being sold, mostly because Brazil again dominates the world. So the price will have to keep going down as long as the US is not selling, in my opinion. And if it doesn't sell enough, at a certain point, it's going to have to go down to convince the marketplace, and especially the growers of the whole world, to change their choice and to go for beans, corn, or alternative commodities. They will stop planting cotton, and once it's going to happen, we might see a change on the trend of ice market, but not before that. To conclude, I just getting back to the basics, the US balance sheet that is at the end driving the futures market. You can see USDA estimate with an ending stock at 4.3 million bales. I do believe that today the market price another scenario that is the bearish scenario with only 11 million bales of exports, or maybe 11.5, which means a carry out between 5 to 5.5. We might have a bullish scenario because everything is possible. Remember, back in the 2019, we would have no idea about the COVID coming up to us. And then we had the inflation story, we had the Ukrainian war, so things are changing very quickly on both sides. But again, it's unlikely to see a scenario that is bullish and an ending stock at 3.3. Something to watch though, as we said, interest rate is very important because the crops are made anyway, so all eyes will be focused on the consumption over the next couple of months, and obviously the relationship between US and China and how it develops. Voila, that was the 2 cents I had for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Basil, very much. Dorina, would you like to post a poll? Hello? Yeah. Our apologies, we're facing some technology problems. It seems Google is not our help tonight. Να το ανοίξω. Okay. Our next... Opa. Να πάμε στο 8. Το 8 πράγμα.
Ορίστε. Όχι, 8 ήταν τώρα.
Όχι, αυτό είναι, αυτό θέλουμε.
Αυτό θέλετε.
Κλείστο. Αυτό, κλείστο.
Θέλετε, 9.
Το 8.
Αυτό.
Ναι.
Αυτό άνοιξε.
Ναι. Αυτό, άσε. Okay, our next, we're moving. Basil, thank you very much for your insight into the market. Apparently, we're facing two scenarios. You have to decide whether it's going to be a bullish or a bearish. Our next pita is Ryota. Ryota has a knowledge of more than 30 years in the cotton market. Of course, in our Mediterranean basin and in Greece and in Turkey, we know him very well. We've traded with him. He's going to give us an insight of what's happening in the Americas, because the Americas, as you noticed on the previous presentation of Basil, apparently they are the biggest suppliers and exporters of the world, and they can affect the prices where we are. Ryota, would you like to start your presentation, please? Thank you. Here you go, Ryota.
Okay, Johnny, thank you very much for the introduction of myself. And I'm Ryota Karube, working for Viola. And first of all, I want to congratulate on all of you who are involved in organizing this successful convention, which is held in the beautiful city of Thessaloniki. And I'm so grateful and honored to be invited to make some presentation about the American continent. And anyway, thank you very much for taking your time to listen to my presentation. This is me, Ryota. Anyway, like, it's quite weird that some Japanese middle-aged man to present about America, but since I've been in the US for over 25 years, so please give me an opportunity to do that. And also, like, since you look so tired, and our schedule has been pushed for 1.5 hours, so originally I tried to make my presentation 2 hours, and I tried to make it short to 5 minutes. Okay. Okay, then the first, I just want to go real quick to show the data of the production number of major American countries, starting from US. Okay, this is the number. It's been down for the last 5 years. Some of the year is due to the drought in Texas, but this year it's more of a like a price issue. Now this, the last USDA report shows that 14.1 million bales of production to be expected out of the US. Then Brazil, okay, whopping big increase on the production, and I will explain in the part 2 why the number has been increased so much. This is Argentina, okay. This number, just for your reference, and Mexico has been down because of the high price of the high cost of production and the severe competition with the US that make this Mexican production lower. This is Paraguay, but Paraguay, I think this number shows it's wrong, that the Paraguay, actually the latest number is 250,000 bales, which this number is for the Peru, so it's the same as that. So Peru's number is 60,000 bales. But anyway, like overall, America, they produce 34 to 35 million bales, and if you look at the U.S. figure of 14 and figure of Brazil, 18 million, these two countries produce more than 90% of the whole American continent. So that's why I want to focus on U.S. and Brazil. First, United States. Now, but the character of U.S. cotton production is all about government subsidy and supporting program. Okay, this is the geographical map to just give you an idea where the cotton is grown, all the west to California, or to the east to the Virginia. And for example, like, okay, the main region to produce cotton is Texas, and maybe there are a lot of guys that buying EMOT, and EMOT starts from Texas all the way to Virginia with a distance of about 2,500 kilometers, which is, for example, for your reference, the distance from Thessaloniki to Urfa, the cotton growing area in Turkey, is around 1,900 kilometers. So that tells how big this U.S. EMOT region is. Okay, talking about the U.S. government program. It started with a farm bill, which gives a lot of different type of subsidy, like loan program. This is the first one, loan program, or like a payment limit. You know, a lot of this stuff, crop insurance, and then we can just start with a loan program. It's all about giving this, cash flow to the U.S. growers if they need cash. But and also like it gives the chance for the American cotton to be sold in case the adjusted world price goes below the loan value. Okay, if we go in detail, it may be a little bit too complicated. So I just want to briefly explain it. As long as the world price goes below the U.S. loan value, and the U.S. government will give this a difference to the farmer who sells to the merchant. This crop insurance is something like in case of a disaster, like a government will help the farmer to recover the loss. But it's the same stuff. Like I'm not going to go in detail. So that way, and the U.S. government is giving a lot of support and subsidy to the U.S. farmer. And okay, this Trump's one big beautiful bill is a modification of this existing farm bill, mainly to increase the loan price to 55 cents from the 52. So anyway, that gives more chance that the farmer can get bigger subsidy from the government in case the world price goes below the loan value. This Buy American Cotton Act is just only started being introduced in May 22nd, but it hasn't passed any kind of a Congress. So we don't know when it'll be effective, but once it is going to be effective, and it's talking about trading American cotton, selling to overseas, and get this tax incentive for the products imported into U.S. So if the overseas mill buy more U.S. cotton, and the importer of the textile goods in U.S. can get a tax benefit. So it can encourage the overseas mill to buy more American cotton. This emergency commodity assist program is it's kind of like a one-time payment. For example, last year the government gave the farmer $84 per acre. It's more or less like 11 cents per pound of the subsidy. And it's going to be given to the farmer this year as well, but it has not yet been determined. But it's just a matter of when, not a matter of if. So eventually the U.S. farmer will get a similar number of the emergency commodity assist, but that will give some flexibility or liquidity, to the U.S. cotton to be traded. Otherwise, all U.S. cotton might go into the loan because the cotton market is too low too low for the farmer to sell to anybody. Okay, they're talking about this non-government organization, another way to help sell, export in American cotton. National Cotton Council is actually the lobbying body of American cotton to just work with the politician to get the better, like a government subsidy. And this is one of the strongest lobby group in U.S. And under this NCC, they do have like a cotton board, which is administrating like a Cotton Incorporated and Cotton Council International, which is like a sales promotion body of American cotton. And to give you an idea, the annual budget of Cotton Inc., Cotton Incorporated, who's doing the sales promotion annually is a $90 million. That this $90 million budget is used to promote American cotton to sell. Okay, then trust protocol. Maybe you heard this one. It's quite similar to this BCI stuff, to be friendly to this environment or whatever. But since this registration of American farmers has been delayed, and it is used mainly for traceability, that the overseas mills, if they buy U.S. cotton, they want their cotton to be uploaded on this trust protocol platform, so that the buyer of their products in U.S. can show that the product use American cotton, so they may get this benefit. Eventually, may get this benefit of importing the products made from American cotton. Brazil. Brazil talking about this, how big, how soon, how quick they increase their production. Okay, this is the geographical map for you to have a rough idea where the cotton is grown. It's mostly in Mato Grosso. And I just want to explain about this winter crop of safrinha. Is, for example, like in Brazil, the soybean used to be the competitor of cotton, to take this acreage. But now, what is happening in Mato Grosso is that because of the technological improvement on the growing soybean, before it used to take 4 months to grow soybean, but now it is only 3 months. So what they do is that they first grow as a plant soybean, and after the harvest, immediately they plant cotton on the same year, on the same field, or corn, and that way they can do the double crop between soybean and corn, or cotton. And for example, in Mato Grosso, like basically 13 million hectares of land is used for soybean, and 80% of the Mato Grosso land can be used for double crop, which is more or less around like a 10 million hectare. And now the 7 million hectare is used for corn, or like a 2 or 3 million hectare is used for cotton. So as a rural math, basically 2,000 kilo or 2 tons can be produced per hectare. So that means like if they plant 1 million more hectare of the land for cotton, and they can increase the production easily by 2 million tons. And as I said, like it's only 1.2 or 1.3 million hectare of the land is used for the double crop. So that tells how easy for Brazil to increase the production of cotton, which is very scary for the rest of the world. Okay, this is that's talking about the safrinha stuff. And okay, this is the rough costing of the Brazil, and as you can see that it says like a 68.55 US cents per pound cost to produce cotton, which looks to be low, but the actual number can be even lower. So even with the current future level, Brazilian farmers probably are not enjoying too much, but still they can survive. Okay, well, this is the support program, but we don't have to go through it. But anyway, talking about, this is the yield for each country. If you look at Australia, can be the first, and then followed by Brazil. Both are around like a 2 metric ton per hectare of yield and better. Where U.S., Spain, and Greece are staying in around the same level. So that tells the competitiveness or price efficiency of Brazil and Australia, where U.S., Spain, and Greece are struggling to fight on this price competitiveness. But anyway, this is all the same story about this, how difficult it is for the cotton consumption to improve. And if you look at the figure, okay, 2025, 140 million metric tons on fiber, while cotton remain same for last 20 years. There's a ceiling of 120 million barrels of global consumption for last 20 years. So I don't know how we can penetrate this 120 million of global consumption. So anyway, this is something I don't know, we will just discuss later about how we promote this European cotton, whatever, or Mediterranean cotton, the way how we do with U.S. cotton or polyester, whatever, because we are talking about this competition among cotton growing region, but I think what we need to do is we need to increase the global cotton consumption, not by competing each other, but by doing some work to, I don't know, to fight against the polyester, and that's what we would discuss later on, I believe. But anyway, this is something what we do, and that's it from my side.
Thank you, Ryota, and Basil, for both of you for your speeches. Both of you have spoken for the supply side. My biggest question is, okay, we've seen the production has jumped significantly in Brazil and in China. Of course, we're not talking so much about China because China is not exporting. Okay, sorry. So since we have production is done a big leap ahead, and what about consumption? Where do you see, both of you guys, where do you see consumption can increase, in which country? For us in the Mediterranean, we've noticed that the Turkish consumption has been going down, and I would say the past 6 months we're seeing Egypt is getting some of the spotlight. Do you think Egypt is going to be the next big consumer for the Mediterranean region, or do you think we're going to see consumption increasing in another country in Asia, like Bangladesh or Vietnam, can expand and help absorb this additional supply? Basil?
Okay, wide question. On the consumption, I do think that, as you mentioned, Egypt is booming. We see it. And as you mentioned, Ryota, before, I think more than about what destination, it's how much total will be consumed, because it's what is driving the market. And I think everybody in this room, including the spinning industry, is dreaming of a market bouncing back and seeing higher price, because when you long cotton and you need to sell your yarn after, you prefer the market to go up as well. So, of course, Egypt is a booming market. Dr. Amgad will agree with that. I think that over the couple of 10, 15 years, 20 years, 25 years, what we've seen usually is that the consumption of cotton is usually booming in countries where labor is available in volume, energy costs are low, regulation maybe are not as strict as somewhere else. And as soon as those kind of aspects are moving up, like we've seen in Taiwan at certain point, in Korea, then this consumption is moving away and going to Bangladesh, India, Vietnam, and Egypt today. But who will be in 20 years the new Egypt? Who knows, maybe in Africa or somewhere else. It will keep moving. But good news for the Greek friends we have in the room. Egypt is booming and it's next door, so it's going to be supportive for the Greek cotton for sure.
Okay. My view is that probably the easiest access to recover the demand or even to increase the demand is by, I think, recovering the financial situation of the existing market. Like even Turkey, once it come back to normal condition on financing, on financial, I think they may be able to recover easily 20, 30%. So I think it's more of like a macro problem to just kind of like slow down the demand in those countries. The same with the Bangladesh or Pakistan or India. I think the more of like their macro problems are blocking the consumption of cotton. Let's put aside this, the competition against polyester. I'm talking about the cotton consumption only. So, okay, you're right that Egypt can be the next destination for the cotton, but okay, it could be some place in Mediterranean, but I don't think we can have a better candidate than Turkish recovery.
Okay, thank you very much for that. There's a saying that usually when, and it was mentioned by somebody a couple of years ago also, is that the cure for lower prices is lower prices. We could say that maybe the cotton sector is in an induced coma at the moment, which means that we would like the cotton trade to remain in this coma into these stable prices. As we saw from a presentation before, as far as the Greek market, is that exactly what was happening 12 months again is happening again now. And both of you guys in your presentations have showed that the market has remained very stable. Do you think this stability can be prolonged for at least another 12 to 24 months for cotton prices? Because we're talking about a bearish and a bullish scenario. As you said, everybody here ideally would like to have a bullish change, but do you think this can happen?
My view, to some extent, is the low price cure the demand. So that means like if we stay here for quite a long period of time, either to encourage the demand to be back or ration the supply side to be a little lower by discouraging the farmer to grow less cotton. By either ways, I think cotton consumption will be stabilized. But on the other side, it's not only about the price. Why we lost the market share to the man-made fiber is that, okay, if you remember back to 2010 level of the lately, like 2020, 21 situation, that a lot of mills have bought and market drop, and a lot of mills are pretty much fed up with this price fluctuation, and they decided to stay out of this volatility on the market. So because they always complain about this. They are only a manufacturer. They don't want to watch the screen 24 hours. They don't want to be working as people are working on the Wall Street. So that really gives some kind of a negative image for consuming cotton. And also talking about the polyester, okay, the first reason for us to lose in the market share is the price. But not only a price these days, because if you look at these polyester products sold in U.S., Under Armour, Nike, Adidas, or even Uniqlo, it's not cheap. Probably it can be more expensive than cotton products. So probably the consumer's preference also has changed more towards the polyester or more towards like a functional fiber. So that stuff also we need to keep in our mind.
Would you want to give your personal view for the market, where it could move, let's say, the next 3 months? Where the market prices could go for the next 3 months? Just your personal view, would it go up or down?
I think simply because of price mechanism, we will see some ceiling in this market until we hedge all the bail, or like all of a sudden the hedge fund reverse their position for some reason. Maybe some worldwide event, like Brazil told about this U.S., China, shake hands or whatever.
Thank you. Basil, your opinion about the market prices? Do you think, what are you more favor personally, for a bullish or a bearish scenario?
Well, the presentation I gave was not really bullish, but I do think that the flat price has been doing a lot of work. I mean, we've seen it over the last 2 years. I wouldn't be surprised that it still has a little bit of work to be done. We need to watch the selling pace of the US. As soon as this one is picking up, we might see a little bit of a rebound. But I think for a real rally, we'll need to wait for 26, 27. Because the crop is made today, I don't see the production explode, the consumption exploding today as well. I might be wrong, but that's the only element that might change the game. And therefore, the market might have to convince farmers to keep decreasing the acreage to then see a rebound. So I will not be too bullish midterm.
Thank you very much, both of you, for your presentations and your insight. Yes. We have just 1 minute. We are announcing a poll. You have seen a poll on the screen. So we would like to see your personal view, what you think about the market after these two presentations. Prodromos?
To give us, is it possible, Mr. Ryota Karube, to give us some a bit more details about the American loan program and with the subsidies, what is the more cents per pound that an American farmer gets in his pocket, if there is such a point?
For example, like right now, the direct subsidy will be this emergency commodity assist, as explained. It's going to be the case for this coming. Sorry. But talking about this direct subsidy will be this ECA, emergency commodity assist, which will be, which was $84 per acre, then to be probably similar or even bigger number for the next, for 26 January or February to be announced. Other than that, we're talking about the loan program is the difference between, do you know how to calculate this adjusted world price? It's on this price mechanism of Kotluk. Kotluk showing that the average five days average of Far East middling style cotton, and do make this adjustment on the freight and the quality, which is more or less like a 22 cents 40 points, something like that. Yeah. So then deduct and we make this AWP or adjusted world price. The difference will be paid in case we take this cotton out of the loan, or we decide, the farmer decided not to put to the loan. So this will be. It's not a subsidy, but it's a part of a subsidy. This is the two main subsidy what the U.S. gets.
Thank you. Would anybody else want to make any question from the audience? No? Okay, so thank you very much, gentlemen, for your presentations and for the answers. Dorina, do you want to talk about the poll?
As you can see on the screen, the first question that I would like to ask the audience is regarding market bulls have been disappointing the last 2 years. Do you think there is hope for recovery this season? As we can see, over 40% are saying no, 32% are saying it's too early to tell, and only 26% are positive. The next question is regarding the U.S. market. Since Brazil has recently overtaken the United States as the world's top cotton exporter, do you believe the U.S. can reclaim its lead within the next 5 years? It seems like over 80% don't think so. Rightfully so. Thank you.
Ένα μνηστικό δώρο από την Ένωση Εκοκιστών στους ομιλητές.
We would like to offer a souvenir present to our speakers from HCA. Mr. Korbas, Mr. Riota, could you please come over to receive your gift? Thank you very much.
Johnny, this one is for you. Όχι, κολλητά, κολλητά.
Τελευταία ενότητα για σήμερα, ένα πολύ...
We're moving on to the last session. We're going to talk about an important issue that is becoming more and more important daily. Cotton versus polyester. I'd like to call to the podium the speakers of this session, Mr. Jens Wirth, Executive Director of Bremer Cotton Exchange, Mrs. Elke Hortmeyer from the Make the Label Count, Mrs. Paula Lur-Young-Boutil, Director and Supply Chain Operations from Better Cotton Initiative, Mr. Ermis Psipsikas, co-founder of Nanobionic Technologies, and Mrs. Zoe Apala, Professor of Dermatology at Aristotle University of Thessaloniki, General Secretary of HSDV. The moderator is Dr. Dimitris Polychronos, the President of European Cotton Alliance.
Can you hear me? Okay. Hello, everybody, for attending the 8th Mediterranean Cotton Roads. I know it's late. We will try to be very short. This is the last session, and our aim is to give you an insight from the different angles into the following topics: consumer awareness, health and environment, social impact, supply chain and legislation, innovation, and sustainability. My name is Dimitris Polychronos. I am cotton spinner engineer, and I'm recently elected as the president of the European Cotton Alliance. I have prepared an introduction which I will skip because the majority of the things I would like to say are said, and because of lack of time, I will enter immediately to the presentation of the great panelists. Next to me, we have Mr. Jens Wirth, with more than 25 years of experience in cotton. He is recently appointed as the Managing Director of Bremen Cotton Exchange, one of the most highly appreciated organizations in Europe, and a recent member of our organization. Elke Hortmeyer is the ideal person to share her insight about the cotton-related legislation and regulation. With nearly 25 years of experience, she is now holding the position of Director of Communication and International Relations at Bremen Cotton Exchange, and she is the spokesperson on behalf of the Make the Label Count. Make the Label Count is the most active organization supporting cotton against polyester. Then we have Ms. Paula Lum, I'll stay here. I will not say the rest. She has also more than 20 years of experience, and she is now in charge of, she is the Director of Membership and Supply Chain at Better Cotton Initiative. Mr. Hermis Psixikas, co-founder of Nanobionic and innovator, a Greek businessman who has received awards from NASA for his innovations, and we're pleased to have this kind of applications to be discussed in our panel. And for the first time, do we have the chance to have a doctor in our panel, Mrs. Zoia Pala. It's difficult to capture your CV in 2 lines. I will simply say that you are Professor of Dermatology at Aristotle University of Thessaloniki, General Secretary of the Hellenic Society of Dermatology and Venerology, and actively engaged in numerous associations and scientific committees. So, a lot have been said about the market share. I'm not sure if the total number of fibers produced globally has been said. This is 132 million tons annually, and the actual number of fossil fuel fibers in total is 69%. If we add on polyester, the numbers for polyamide and nylon, it is 69%. It is astonishing. As I've said, I will skip my intro and enter the questions immediately. Elke, I will start with a question to you. We have recently heard that the European Union finance ministers have decided to impose a €2 per parcel additional duty for all the imports made from countries like China or India, which is predominantly dominated by thermo and shine. This was in line to be in place in 2028, but now it is said that it will be imposed in 2026. What do you think? Is this enough to stop the overconsumption of polyester-made fast fashion garments?
Thank you for the question. First of all, we are very happy about this decision. It's a good step, but it's not enough. I've been speaking to the CEO of the German Textile and Fashion Association, and he told me that every day in Germany we receive about 400,000 parcels from China every day. And most of these 400,000 parcels from China are ultra-fast fashion. And this is amazing. So these parcels, these products, are not under the European legal requirements, but the European products under European legal requirements. The parcels that arrive every day, the 400,000 parcels, are from China, and they do not meet the European legal requirements for safety, for environmental issues, for whatever, but our own products do have to meet them. So we have to take a few steps further even. We embrace this decision, but it's not enough. Products from non-EU countries have to meet the same requirements. And the surveillance authorities who watch this process need a contact person for all the products that come into Europe. We don't have these persons. We don't have any contact points to discuss with, to negotiate. So we have to add more steps. This is the first one, but it's not enough.
Okay, it is clear. I totally agree with you. €2 per parcel cannot really change the behavior of the people who overconsume, but it is much better to start discussing it than keeping it undercover. So, Jens, Bremen is acknowledged as one of the most reliable cotton organizations. What are the claims that support the environmental superiority of cotton, and how can we effectively communicate this message to the final consumer based on scientific data, if required?
Now it's working, I guess. First of all, I think it is very important to have the comparison between polyester and natural fiber solved. So we, as a community in the natural fiber section, we should focus on the microplastics issue. I think everybody is aware, also the consumers are aware of the pollution in the ocean, in the air, and the human body. There are a lot of other things which were mentioned already today. This is why I just focused the main point. I think we should stick together in the future. I think we did a good job in the last 2 years. The cotton community stood a little bit more close. I think it's a very good sign already. But now we should spread our word and we need to reach the consumer. When we have the consumer aware of that polyester is causing microplastic and plastics, I think most of them are not aware. They are just going to the shop. It's very easy. They just want to have a nice shirt with a nice price, and then they make the decision. There are just a few people who are doing a choice based on the material what is in. And then when we can reach, let's say, just 5% of the consumers to take a look at the label to check if it's a natural fiber, it doesn't matter if it's cotton or silk or whatever. The other fibers are not a competition for cotton at all. So it's a matter of all natural fiber communities. When we can engage, let's say what I said, 2, 3, 4, 5%, then the demand for cotton and natural fibers will increase drastically. And I think this is the main point. And this will be a benefit for everybody. So it's not only for us as a cotton association. I think it's also important for spinning mill, for everybody to have a better environment in the future. We need to spread this very easy in easy wordings, like you do. Nature knows better, or make the label count. And the newest one is from the National Cotton Council, National Cotton Council, with the Plant Not Plastic campaign. I think this can have a big impact. And then, of course, we are talking here in the cotton bubble together. We need to spread our word through different channels. When I go as a lobbying association to someone, of course, they will recognize I'm from the cotton, I'm lobbying this. So we try also as BBB to put this through different channels, through ministers, through NGOs, through scientists. And we should take the momentum of, as said, the pollution in the human body, the health and the environment, all these things. And then I guess we can encourage the people also to take a deeper look on the label. Of course, it's always a matter of price for several people, but I think we can encourage 2 to 5% or something. But we need to, it's a hard work, and we should go ahead with that in the next years.
And I'm sure that it takes time for the consumers to become mature and start criticizing and thinking of that. But for sure, we need to underline the problems of environmental impact of polyester and definitely highlight the benefits of cotton.
Exactly.
So, Hermes, based on your personal experience and the global trends you notice, which option do you believe is currently favored by consumers? Natural materials or synthetic?
Good question. If you would ask me a few years ago, I would definitely tell you polyester. But nowadays, it tends to be more natural materials. Although polyester dominates global production because it is inexpensive, because it's affordable, because it's durable and easy for the companies to be used in a large scale, there is a shift towards natural materials, especially after COVID. People, they care more about themselves, they care more about wellness, sustainability. And this is what cotton is. It's a sustainable product. It's comfortable, it's breathable, and brands, from our experience, tend to shift from synthetic fibers to natural fibers like cotton, because they can give an added value to the final product, traceability, sustainability. So there is a huge momentum right now, and you should take advantage of this huge momentum and bring it to the market.
It's great to hear that, especially from you, because you're not coming from the cotton sector.
Not
You're an
at all.
innovator, so this is very good news for us. Paola, BCI has been an initiative with great success. You have been probably the only initiative that managed to reach a share of more than 20% of the global market. How do you see your role in the future, and what are the challenges for BCI?
Okay, good evening, everyone. So I'd like to take a little time just to make sure everybody knows who BCI is. So the Better Cotton Initiative is a not-for-profit. We were established in Geneva in 2009, and we had our first cotton crop in 2010. In 2013, we established a mass balance chain of custody, which was a bit of an uproar in the textile sector at the time, because it was totally new and everyone wanted traceability. I was part of those discussions. I was part of a retailer brand, and everyone wanted traceability. So when BCI made this decision, there was not a lot of understanding, and it was quite some years of talking to textile industry to get people to understand mass balance and to embrace it. So the reason BCI did it is because we are about farmers, and everything we do is about farmers in Better Cotton. For us, we believe it begins with farmers. So we needed to have funding to establish this new commodity, which is BCI commodity, the BCI cotton. It didn't exist in 2010. So we needed funding to get it to exist. And for that, we needed funding to train farmers to meet our standard. BCI is a standard system. It owns a standard system today, which is a certification system. In those days, we were doing a licensing system. So we started a mass balance chain of custody, actually as a mechanism to get demand for the BCI commodity as quickly as possible, because we needed the funding. Retailers and brands, when they received their credits, because it's a system that uses credits, they pay us a fee for that, and that fee we used to do farmer training across the world. Today, BCI is in 15 countries, 2 million farmers, and we have achieved a lot. We have achieved significant impact, let's say results, in the reduction of pesticides and water use, reducing water use, and yeah, basically we've achieved some of the sustainability results we are looking for. Since 2010, when we started, the regulatory environment has changed. So this is making a change in what we need to do as Better Cotton. And the market requirement basically is now requiring a few things. For the US market, products containing cotton can be held in customs, as you know, because of the regulations, if the cotton is linked to forced labor. So we need to know what is the country of origin of the cotton based on traceability. Then in the EU next year, start of next year, we're going to have the EU FLR, which is the EU forced labor regulations, where we're going to be required to demonstrate there's no forced labor in the cotton, in products imported into these markets. So that's one thing that changed. The other thing that changed is that in order to make claims on consumer products in Europe, we're going to have to base it on a label from a certification scheme and ensure that it's supported by traceability. Another big change for us, because we're mass balanced, right?
Quite a big change from
Yes.
a mass balance approach.
Exactly. So then the third thing that changed for us is that in order to talk about impacts and in order to claim impacts, as a lot of retailers and brands would like to do, you do need to have traceability. You can't talk about impact in relation to your products if you don't have traceability. So suddenly traceability has become a real need, and there's basically it's a compliance issue for the textile industry today. So we went through some major changes in the last 3 years, where we launched traceability in 2023, at the end of 2023. And are you hearing me okay? I hear an echo. Okay. All right, so we launched traceability in 2023. 9 months later, our first retailer brand received Better Cotton, BCI cotton, physical BCI cotton. So for us, that was a learning. We didn't realize it happened so fast. And then we We became a certification scheme this year, in February of this year, and we are already recognized by several international standards as a certification scheme, and we are now in the full activity of getting our supply chain to adopt traceability. Our supply chain in Better Cotton is about 13,000 companies, and we're already at 16% having been certified. At the GINA level, where the cotton enters and where country of origin is actually identified, we already have 21% of GINAs across our registered GINAs certified for Better Cotton. So it's going, I would say, relatively fast. Of course, everybody wants to see it go faster, but this is what is happening. I think the interesting news for everyone here, because many of you are Better Cotton members, is that we already have about 18% of international retailers and brands who have certified, not certified, who have registered interest to buy physical BCI cotton for their collections. So this is for us a sign that this demand is coming, and I really would like our audience here to get that. Now, I do have to end because you asked me a question. So we are seeing some of the mass balance volumes being being changed into physical volumes right now, with 300,000 metric tons already taken up at spinner level and 27,000 metric tons at the retailer brand level. What are the challenges for us as Better Cotton? So, of course, people are seeing us now as an enabler to compliance, because compliance is what is required by the markets. So that traceability and certification is important, but farmers are our DNA, and this is where our future is. So we believe the biggest challenges is for us, as the size of organization we are, so more than 20% of world production since 2018, that we have this role to play to bring these challenges that farmers face today, to give recognition to it. The challenges that they face, their context, and also the possibility for them to be able to create change for sustainability. We as an organization have that role to play, and we would not back down from it, and we work with others to try to achieve that. And the other thing we need to do very urgently is to make sure we are able to speak to the sustainability qualities, the durability, the quality, the renewability of cotton today. We need to talk about that more, and we have engaged with Make the Label Count to be able to support initiatives that actually help us bring this message to the front. Thank you.
I can understand that you make a major change of your policy, and you will keep us updated on that, for sure, as we are also partnering here in Greece. So, Zoe, according to your personal insights and your professional background, have you encountered any dermatological issues associated with the synthetic fiber clothing in your everyday experience?
Absolutely. First of all, I would like to thank you for giving me the opportunity to be among you. It is a privilege, and thanks to the President, and I was really happy to accept this invitation. In our daily practice, we often face issues with synthetic fibers. They can exacerbate a pre-existing dermatosis or even trigger the development of a new disease on the skin, especially when the person is genetically predisposed to this. Typical examples of dermatosis that may worsen with synthetic fibers include contact dermatitis, allergic dermatitis, also the so-called heat rash, which is known as miliaria, and friction dermatitis can be worsen with the synthetic fibers. And of course, we should not forget that this material can predispose to fungal and bacterial infections due to the heat and moisture trap. And we can see this kind of of fungal and bacterial infections, because it creates a breeding, let's say, ground for this bacteria, heat and moisture. Also, patients with psoriasis and atopic dermatitis often come to our departments and to our outpatient clinics complaining about feeling that their skin is more dry and itchy with the contact with this kind of synthetic materials, but not only synthetic materials. I feel that, of course, you care about the natural fibers, but for us, not all natural fibers are the same. For example, also wool-made fibers can be irritative to the skin of these patients. We consider as dermatologists that the most skin-friendly material is this material, that it is cotton-made. Okay?
So are there any particular incidents where cotton products are recommended, or on the other hand, polyester or even woolen fabrics are prohibited?
Yes, absolutely. For example, one scenario is the very early age. Infants and children are they have very sensitive skin, so we always recommend 100% cotton-made materials. Other examples are all kinds of dermatitis. Dermatitis and eczema are synonyms, okay? So irritative contact dermatitis, allergic dermatitis, psoriasis, all the inflammatory dermatoses are scenarios in which we recommend 100% cotton-made clothes. But what I consider very important and sometimes interesting is that when we say this recommendation to the patients, they sometimes respond that it is not so easy to find a 100% cotton-made cloth. This is something that nowadays we face with, okay? So I don't know if from your part you can switch maybe this trend from the synthetics to the more natural cotton-made clothes, but for us sometimes with the patients is like this. They respond that they cannot find such clothes.
We are aware that we are losing market share, but having difficulties in finding 100% cotton clothes in Greece, I've never heard that before, to be honest. It's quite impressive. We can see that a lot of brands are changing the composition of their fabrics, and instead of having polo shirts of 100% cotton, they might be using 70% cotton and 30% polyester. But for underwear, for example, with direct touch with the skin, I think that still in the market there is plenty of 100% cotton garments.
I agree with you, but it is not so easy to find a brand with 100% cotton-made underwear, a bra, for example. It is hard, let me tell you.
Maybe this is a good business idea. We're all cotton businessmen here, so we should think about it. So, Elke, coming back to you, you have made a great success when you stopped the implementation of the product environmental footprint some months ago. If that was implemented, it would be in favor of polyester products and against the cotton products. Can you please describe what was the strategy you followed for this success, and what are the next steps, if there is any idea for reconsidering the methodology in the near future?
Thank you. Well, first of all, I have to mention, and maybe we come back to this also later, that we have a completely unfair situation at the beginning. I can talk about PEF later, I can talk about the product environmental footprint and the completely unfair situation for natural fibers. But what we did at Make the Label Count, which was being founded by the wool people, by the way, the International Wool Organization called the cotton people for help. They were very active for about 2 years, and then they approached us through the natural fiber community and said, we are running out of money, we are running out of power, please come and help. So the cotton community met in Bremen at the Bremen Cotton Conference, and the wool people told us about the problem, and everybody was frustrated, everybody was shocked, and then a great process started. It was a great network. We demonstrated that the PEF overlooks the key environmental factors like microplastic pollution and plastic waste, the positive ecosystem services of natural fibers, the positive biodegradability of cotton, for instance. The PEF did not take into account that cotton employs about 150 million people in the world. It did not take into account these problems. And we really raised our voices. The entire natural fiber community worldwide raised their voices. We had meetings with members of the European Parliament directly in Brussels, talking to them, raising awareness. We had events, we organized round tables, we submitted letters to the Commission. We had, with our campaign, we wrote letters to other cotton institutions, to the governmental level. And this finally, after month and month and months of work, came to a result. And we saw a good result because the PEF currently, it's still on, it's still there, but it will be changed. So this was a very good sign for the complete natural fiber community. We are not going to, as make the label count, our initiative, our natural fiber community. We don't see ourselves in the role to redesign PEF. We can't do this. We are not on a governmental level, but we can give recommendations for a fair level playing field, and we have to do this. I can explain that the product environmental footprint is based on LCAs, and the LCA-based systems compare agricultural products with synthetic fibers from crude oil, and you just can't compare that. It should not be done. In addition to this, we highlighted in Brussels that the LCAs are based on databases which are old, outdated, and wrong. So the European government, the Commission, is working with data which is outdated, and the cotton industry has never been contacted from Brussels before. So this is something that we have to change. We have to talk to Brussels. Maybe it's the fault of the cotton industry because we have been sleeping, but also the governmental level should not work with data that is outdated or wrong. So this was all action we have been discussing, negotiating in the last month, and we are slowly coming to a point where we can say we've got some kind of impact now.
Would you agree that even though at the beginning we have not been treated in a fair way, when we raised the arguments, we were finally, they finally listened to our voice and our claims? Would you agree that when we raised our voice, we finally found a fair, let's say, deal with them, with the authorities?
I would be very careful to say that now it's a fair situation. We are still not at the end. We still have to raise our voices, and we are still in the process of developing a new set of rules. And I can say that the polyester people are pretty strong.
For sure, no doubt.
They know what we are doing. They're very much aware of our activities. And 70% of synthetic fibers and 21% of cotton is a clear sign. It's not the result of regulations, but we have to proceed with our negotiations, and we have to do even more. So now, at the moment, it can become fair, but right now it's not fair, not yet.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you very much. Paula, back to you. The textile supply chain can be characterized as fragmented, extensive, very long. And we know that recently we all try to enhance sustainability. Does the emphasis we place on the traceability of natural fibers really improves consumer perception? Is the traceability so important for the consumer after all?
That's a really interesting question. I scratched my head on it. The textile supply chain is extensive. We harvest seed cotton and we sell some of the most sophisticated fabrics in fashion. And that requires a long process. And this process is quite specialized at all the different levels. And therefore, it could seem fragmented. So many approaches on corporate responsibility have taken place at different levels in the supply chain. But impact studies show that the biggest environmental impacts are around the production of cotton and on the consumer use phase, except that it doesn't take into account the microfibers that you get all over the faces, but it isn't taken into account in LCAs. So how can we enhance sustainability? I believe as BCI that we need to work together more, the cotton sector, to look at these problems. We need to consolidate more, and we need to be able to demonstrate that we are reducing those impacts at the production stage. Our work to date has been trying to do that, getting the countries together, getting governments together, because we work a lot embedding our programs into the governments and into agriculture and municipalities and so on across the world. So we do need to continue bringing farmers into this global framework that we have created in Better Cotton. And in the first phase, I would say, this project was funded by governments, by governmental organizations, I would say, by retailers and brands, and some banks funded Better Cotton in the early stages. At this time, and since about, let me see, I was around in that time, about 2008 or so, it's been largely retailer brand sourcing, retailer brand funding that has been making the job on the ground happen with our farmers. But for this, we need to be able to continue funding that, continuing funding a little bit deeper, because the environment is worsening, as we know, every year. It is getting worse every year. And the farmers are in the forefront battling with this. So we do need to find ways to fund some of the work that needs to happen. And farmers need incentives to continue making changes that are needed too, to be able to become stronger, more resilient, to regenerate soil, to preserve biodiversity, all the things we're expecting from them somehow. So we do need to find a solution to that challenge, and it's something BCI is thinking about. We need to collaborate across initiatives, and in this effort we need to understand that the consumer needs very simple messaging. This is what you just said. Very simple, easy to understand slogans is what they need. Cotton comes from many different contexts, and we certainly know that in BCI, because we have a standard that is applicable to all countries, but the standard is complex because of that. We need, because cotton comes from different contexts, and there are different sustainability issues, and some governments have made stances on some issues, we need traceability. So you're asking if that changes the consumer and what the consumer is thinking.
Well, our biggest fear is the consumer gap. According to recent surveys, we have seen that although more than 80% of the consumer, whenever asked, replies that they would pay more for a sustainable product and they're interested, less than 25% of them would finally do that when shopping.
Yes.
And the question is, how can this change? I mean, I think it takes time for them to really consider all this information and adopt them.
But I do believe that even though it's complex, it is a building block to have those simple messages for consumers that they could believe. Because right now, the trust of consumers in product labeling is very, very low. There are many things out there that say nothing, and everything is green. So consumers need a basis on which to start trusting claims again, and I think this is it. As I said, in 2010, when we started BCI, everybody wanted traceability at that time, but there was no reason to have it, there was no rationale to have it. It felt like a lot of investment for nothing. Now there's a reason to have it, and we know why. Because consumers need to trust labels.
Hermes, you gave us a very positive reply, so I need to come back and ask you again, how important do you think is the product's composition when it comes for a shopper to choose? And I think this is one of the questions, similar one, that we would also like to have as a poll, if this is possible. But what is your opinion? Is it important, very important, not important at all?
Back in time, it was not important at all. Nobody cared what was the composition of any material. All they cared was about the brand. Always they will care about price, color, or style, because it's part of the aesthetics. But nowadays, it looks like consumers are more environmentally conscious about the composition. Why? Because they are looking for products that they are sustainable and they're healthy for them. And brands realize that they need to shift by using natural materials like cotton. Why? Because when a consumer buys a product, whether it's an apparel or a bedding product, and they see that is cotton made, they feel more comfortable, and they're willing to pay even more. So brands not only use natural materials, they try to shift because of the price difference between synthetic and natural materials. But we experience that even on the hang tags, they would like to mention that it's made of cotton, organic cotton, Egyptian cotton, or Pima cotton, because it gives an added value to the final product. And of course, and a good excuse to raise the price. But the consumer is willing to pay more. So yes, nowadays, composition is very important.
Is this point of yours coming from local experience or from a global overview you might have?
Because we are dealing with many different brands from many different sectors, they care more and more. And from our point of view, we are building a new collection right now that is going to be 100% natural made.
By the way, I should have asked you in the beginning about the application you have invented. So can you please give us a couple of words of how exactly Nanobionic works?
Thank you. I will make it very shortly. So we have developed a mineral-based coating that is based on mineral ceramics and polymers that is applied on any kind of materials such as cotton, polyester, leather, or foam. This coating has the ability to capture the body heat, the infrared that our body emits, and stimulates blood circulation. We've done several studies to prove the benefits of the technology, and we've been determined by the FDA as a general wellness product. We have received 15 international awards, and because of stimulating blood circulation in a totally natural way, we've done several studies to prove benefits like increasing performance when you wear a t-shirt, for example, or you have a better quality of sleep when you are sleeping in a mattress or bed sheets or any kind of bedding products. But our biggest recognition came from NASA that a few years ago awarded Nanobionic as one of the top 10 most innovative technologies that could impact space exploration. So right now we are licensing our technology all over the world in different sectors and industries, and the brands have the ability to communicate several benefits, which gives them an added value and at the same time a huge competitive advantage. Because when you apply our technology on any material by padding, printing, or any kind of industrial application, that product is not a commodity anymore. It's a wellness product that brings added value to the brand. And consumers, we're experiencing that they're willing to pay even more for a product that does something for themselves.
Okay, great. Zoe, knowing that microplastics have been detected in the human brain in the maternal milk, have the global scientific community assessed the overall impact in human health?
Yes, indeed. The global community, scientific community has assessed the data. The WHO, the UNEP, and also there are systemic reviews in the literature, large-scale reviews assessing this data. And they conclude that even though there is a biologic possibility due to inflammation or due to stress of the human body, at the moment the data are immature and they do not prove a direct contact etiopathogenetic relationship with a specific human disease, at least at the moment. So we believe that indeed this observation, the identification of these plastic microparticles in the human body are super concerning. However, we need large-scale studies and well-designed long-term studies to establish a possible connection with a certain disease.
It is a concerning factor,
Absolutely.
I can understand. Okay. So, Elke, is it possible to give us a very short description of how regulation, over-regulation, legislation in Europe could impact the market share of cotton? In simple words, if possible.
Yeah, thank you for the question. I can try to explain it in simple words. Even the entire topic is terribly complicated, but you can say that the European textile market is undergoing a completely redesign. We have new rules like the eco-design regulation, like the digital product passport and other green claims in the future. There are several more regulations, and the textile market will change completely. It will change how textiles are made and how companies are going to share the environmental information about their products. Europe requires that products last longer, they can be repaired, they can be recycled, you have to use responsible materials, and you have to come with clear environmental facts. This is a very large influence on the entire textile market. So I hope this is simple enough.
Yeah, okay, okay. I'm sure you need plenty of time to further analyze that. We'll have the chance another time. The last one is for you, Jens. We all know that cotton is losing market share. What can we do to change this? Do you have any ideas?
Yeah, first of all, it's good to see that we are kind of organized through Make the Label Count. It's the first time in history that we have seen more than 70 different associations, companies who are working in the textiles are organized. So when we see the PEF, for example, it's not over yet, and we should go ahead with it. And we have learned from Elke and from the others that there are some other things around what we need to take care of. So when anybody thinks Make the Label Count, maybe we don't need to be a member, or we should not be a member in the future, you should, because this is a platform what we should use also to to talk about the other topics what we have. And in general, we are not against synthetic fibers. Here are also spinning mills who are using both, and every fiber is needed in the world. In some applications, polyester performing much better than cotton. But there are also in underwear and such things, there no microplastic should be used like polyester or other synthetics. We can, I think we can use it. I think the biggest problem was that we were not organized in the past, and we should just go ahead with that. And when we see the good stories of polyester, where are the good stories? They try to use the recycling as a marketing, but what else? They don't need to take care about traceability. Nobody takes a look at where the crude oil came from or the polyester fiber. Cotton has so many good and nice stories to tell, so we should base just on facts. We should use all facts what we have. We need to distribute this to the people, to the audience, and as earlier said, through different channels. Not only talking here in the cotton bubble, we all should use this mechanism of each country. We should go through the ministries and also raise our problems at the EU level. We should go through NGOs, through scientists, magazines, whatever can help. So it's good just to go ahead, and we should go. We should stick together, and we have one aim. We want a fair level game field, so nothing else.
Perfect, optimistic conclusion for the end. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for staying so long. We hope you have enjoyed. We have some identical presents to give you.
Πρόεδρε, θέλω αυτόγραφο εδώ πάνω.
Και τι άλλο να κάνω μετά. Δημήτρη, να την πάρεις και εσύ μία. Πάρε και εσύ μία. Σένα να μην σε αφήσω που στενοχωρούμε. Να πούμε και μία όλοι μαζί, να την κάνεις. Ξέρω. Αργήσαμε να συγχωρείτε. Θα καθίσετε να φάμε, έτσι. Thank you all of you for being today here. I hope we had a good meeting, a good event. I apologize for the delay in our time schedule. We will have the dinner in 10 to 15 minutes. You are all invited. Thank you once more.